ready to rumble? How's I mean, listen, it's not my best hair day, but it is what it is.
It's breezy in Florida. What can you expect?
Yeah, you know, you have to improvise. So
You gotta get ready. You're going to the theme parks up there in Orlando.
That's
so
true.
You got to get ready for a little wind, a little sun. Be ready for it.
That's
so.
true. And you recommended Harry Potter World.
Harry Potter, definitely. First stop.
First stop.
No, first stop is you got to go to Incredible Hulk at Universal.
Okay. Well, we're just going to Harry Potter World.
Okay.
So
you're missing out.
I mean, well, we're
missing
doing
out.
Magic Kingdom.
I know, but
You got to
Universal's
do
so
Magic
much better.
Kingdom. You're
Much
a
better.
Universal. You don't
I'm a
like
Universal
Mickey?
guy.
Okay.
No, been there, done that.
I mean, can we get some sponsors then for Universal?
Oh,
Right?
we can
You
work
got
on it.
plenty
I'm working on Team Zeron right here.
Okay,
So Scott
right.
Zeron gave me $20 worth of this hat today. So I
listen.
would normally wear it. That's why it's so clean.
Plenty of exposure.
So whatever
right?
it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Save payment time.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah. Can you give us a rounded estimate of what those stakes payments were? Because it's February 15th.
This February, which is an easy month for us generally, was around for my portion only was 17,000.
Okay.
And the next month's a big one. Next month's a
month's-
biggie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you look forward to that?
No, not at all. Not at all.
How many 2-year-olds do you have?
We've got 35 total.
Okay.
And first crop of CaptainTreacherous, of course. We've got 18 of those in training. We've got a sweet Lou filly. We have 3 Trixtons and 2 Muscle Hills.
You got a little bit of
A
everything,
little bit of variety.
How many captains were bred? How many captain foals were there? Do you know?
I think there was around 120 live foals. I believe there was around 93 that went to public auction.
Okay, so did you want to have as many as you have? Like 10%? I mean, that's.
I hoped going into Harrisburg that I wouldn't purchase any more. We had 2 pacing colts that we really liked. We wanted to buy from Hanover, but I felt like toward the end of the sale at Harrisburg, or even opening day, there were some horses that were by Captain that we had looked at beforehand that were way below what I thought was market value. But there was just so many CaptainTreacherous that went to public auction, it got a little saturated, and the prices weren't as high as a lot of people thought they would be. And I'd kind of made that assumption early, like even when they into their when they were weanlings, I said there's going to be so many nice captains that they're not going to sell a $300,000, $400,000, because you're going to stop bidding and move on to the next one, because he got such a great book of mares and they were such great individuals that you were going to be able to choose whatever you like.
Yeah, you kind of figured, okay, well, that one looks good, that one looks good, that one looks good.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm not.
You had plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever. And going into Harrisburg, I had no intention of buying anything other than those 2 captain colts. I ended up buying 5 captains on opening day, and that wasn't even including the 2 colts that I was going to buy.
What's more stressful, the couple of weeks leading up to it, where you got to go to farms and you're getting reports and blah 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 from all the breeding farms, or sale day where it's like, oh, okay, am I on plan A or am I on plan? Are we going at the extra 10,000 here? Are we bailing?
I think we get a pretty good idea ahead of time what we're going to do. We kind of know, we've looked far enough ahead to know what mares are having what foals. We knew what mares have been bred to captain, so of course we knew what foals were going to be into the sale for the most part. So we had a good idea of what pedigrees we wanted to take a run at. And when we looked at them at the farms, and if the pedigree and the individual matched up, then we were fairly confident that we were going to take a decent run at that. Did we get every one we wanted? No, of course not. That's an impossible dream. But we got the majority of what we wanted, and couldn't be happy with what we got.
Now you can't worry about it right now. It was 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Was there one that you're like, son of a, I wanted that one, or you just can't really, you just, all right, move on to the next one?
Yeah, there wasn't really. I got the pacing colts that I wanted. I got. There was maybe one pacing filly at Hanover that I really liked that I didn't get.
Who outbid you?
Actually, Marvin Katz bought it, so that was okay because he was buying it, so he's in the fold, and Nancy Johansson's training it, and I like that filly a lot. But I bought another filly, the same thing from Hanover, that I thought was going to be a $75,000 to $100,000 pacing filly, and I bought her for $35,000. So the other filly that they bought, I believe, brought $170,000. So we'll I wish them nothing but the best, of course, because Marvin's a client. But I'm glad with the filly we got as well.
Okay, so before we jump into the training sessions and breaking down all the horses, we're here on the deck. So here's my take on it. I don't know I always like something that pushes other people to do something else.
Mhm.
So we got, I mean, this thing is always catered, right? Catered every
Yes.
Saturday by
Yes.
Hanover and
Yep.
stuff like that.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden, all these other ones, I'm looking over here. This one's
Right.
great. So was this your idea? Whose idea was this to kind of make it a stop? You know, every Saturday we're training. And also what happens when it rains?
Well, actually, the when I moved here 3 years ago, the first winter coming down here, there was a deck already here.
Okay.
That deck was put here by Ananachis,
Okay.
and they were here for years. And when I moved into this barn, I talked to Frank the Elder, and Frankie Jr., and we decided that we were going to redo the deck, build it up, freshen it up, do
Mm-hmm.
everything. So we tore down the other one, put this one up, and Frank the Elder and I he was generous enough that him and I split the cost, and we did it right because it sits right on the finish line. So even though there's
Yeah, I
other
mean,
decks here,
like we'll just do it
literally
literally on the finish
on the
line.
finish
Like
line.
there's the finish line. Oh, my big head's blocking it. But yeah, so
Yeah, it's
this
literally on the finish line. So it just kind of became the meeting place, just because that's where the horses finish their mile. And the good thing about it is, everybody that's moved in here, like Casey Coleman, put in a beautiful
Mhm.
deck that's built by the same guy that built this one,
It's down there
and it's
somewhere.
down there. And Scott
Bright
Zeron's,
bright blue and yellow.
yep,
Yep.
Scott Zeron and Rick Zeron have put a deck in. Of course, Scotty's too cheap to paint his,
Well,
so it's going with the all natural look. But it's cleaned up the whole place. Like, it's made it really nice for people to come in. People drive in and have never been here before, and they see that everybody's going above and beyond to put on a nice show.
so it's good because you're pushing. Again, I like anything that pushes other people to be like, oh well, son of a, they're doing it. We got to do. Even if
Absolutely.
it's, we got to
Yep.
do it now. Do it.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
anything that forces anybody to do something, I'm
Absolutely.
all for.
Ananachis have always had head numbers for their horses, which makes it nice when the people are here to watch them train. Paul Kelly has saddle pads, and we just bought saddle pads a couple weeks ago, and it just makes things easier for everybody. We do a daily training schedule and a roster with our horses on it, so people can follow along. Because if they come out here, they put out that much effort. It's nice for them to be able to follow along and say, "Oh yeah, that's a CaptainTreacherous colt. I really like him," or "That's a Muscle Hill colt." So it makes it a lot easier, and then it saves us from having to yell out what
Connecting,
every
yeah,
horse is
yeah.
every time we go on the
Yeah,
track.
you're connecting with
Exactly.
anybody who, and now that we're doing, I mean, hey, we're doing video production, so now is anytime people can watch replays and be like, oh, okay, this is Tony's list.
Right,
The list
right.
doesn't change, right?
Nope, the list doesn't change. The numbers don't change, and then next year, it's kind of like always what I do when a super horse pops out. I always go back and I look at my notes of what I liked as a yearling, or go back and watch its video. Hopefully next year we'll have a great horse, and people go back and go, oh, here's his old training video.
There we go.
Man, he was training good from the get-go.
It's
People will be able to follow along.
they do that in every sport where it's, whoa, let's go back and watch LeBron James when he
Right,
was in AAU.
right. Why can't we do it in our
Now
business?
let's, hey, whoa, look, wow, because people are always like, oh, he was great from the beginning, and
Right,
then it's like, well, were they
right,
BSing, or
right.
was he really good from the beginning, or did he gel in June? So now you can go back and say, wow, look at that horse in January. He couldn't even walk straight,
Right, and
and
I mean we have a prime example. Last year we had a filly that ended up being a really nice filly for her this year, named Bandstand, and she was our farthest behind and toughest to get going. And in Florida, if you would have watched her, you would have thought there's no shot that she's going to be the kind of horse she ended up to be. But when it clicked, and people could see the progression. And by the time we left Florida, I said, "Boy, this filly might be okay." And she ended up making 200,000. She won the Kentucky final. She went for 5 for 5 first lifetime starts, and I even drove her to a win. So yeah, it tells you what
oh,
kind of filly she
wait, you
was.
can drive?
I drove her to a win at Lexington.
Wait, now you're supposed to be popping the collar, be like, listen, when I come out to drive, that means the other guys couldn't get the job done.
Well, and I just wanted
Is
to,
that-
I wanted to put a, I gave him the, I just want to educate her and make sure she gets a good experience. I don't have to necessarily win.
Were you
And then
highlining, or
oh yeah, that comes second over three
okay?
wide, pop the earplugs, wheel disc. I
Just
showboated.
did you? Were you pointing? Who finished second in the race?
They were too far back. I couldn't
You
tell.
couldn't even.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
couldn't
couldn't even
tell.
remember it.
I'd have
It
to
was
go
like
look at the
it
replay.
was like a blur.
Exactly.
All right, so with the magic of television,
Mhm.
we're gonna jump into the some of the yearling videos.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. We got your
Sure.
magic list.
The magic list is here.
Okay, so we filmed 5 training sessions yesterday. Yeah, so just
2-year-olds?
Yeah, 2-year-olds. Now, first question: do these sets go the same all the time, or do you rotate the sets?
I generally put them same sets go all the time. I may throw some together on their slower days.
Okay.
That because the horses are as advanced or not as advanced, it doesn't really matter as much on their slow day. But on their speed day, we definitely go with horses. I break them up by Lexington, no OCD surgery. Lexington OCD surgery, Harrisburg no OCDs, Harrisburg OCDs. That way they're all in the same grouping as far as their timelines. And then if I have a horse that I feel like just is a little immature that needs to go back a step, then I'll move him back to the next group.
Okay.
I don't ever move anything forward. I don't take one that came to Harrisburg and just all of a sudden I put it in with Lexington fillies that have never been, had any setbacks. But I like to do it that way. I always set them back. I don't ever set them forward.
Okay, so this first group, what are the we had a bunch of
the first set were pacing fillies, Lexington, and a homebred filly that I raised out of a mare called Fox Valley Zena, and she's by Great Vintage, Jersey bred. So those fillies all came from Lexington sale, no OCD surgery, and they also had one filly in the set was from Harrisburg, but she had no OCD, so this was her slow day.
Okay.
So I had no problem putting her in with that set, and that's actually the filly you went with, Entwined.
Okay.
So and then so we went a mile at 35 on her slow day, and just one trip. They've been 2 trips twice now, and the filly we went with is an American Ideal filly that I own with Dr. Patricia Hogan of New Jersey Equine or New Jersey fame, Hogan Equine Clinic, a homebred, and that I actually bought at the sale from her. She stayed in for a piece.
Do you look for some of these like when they're all training together? They all finish pretty much in the same group? Are you trying to extend one or another, or let the other one shine, or we're just guiding them along and wait till the racing for them to stick out?
On the day that you were here and we were going just one trip, and we were training in 6 in a set, and we were training 3 on the inside, 3 on the outside. Not really a speed day, just pretty much building their wind day.
Experience,
And
just being
experience,
around.
the horse sits first over, learns to sit there and relax. The horse is following, learns to sit there and relax. They learn to all come together. We're not really looking to make any fast moves or anything like that. It's just a matter of manners, patience, all the things that they need. Basically, I tell my trainers all the time that are working for me or owners that come up to watch. What we're trying to do is mimic a race situation. So I want that horse to know if he's stuck out there first over, he's got to be patient and wait for somebody to ask him to go.
Right.
And I want the horse sitting second over to know that he needs to sit there and be patient and wait for that driver to ask him to go. So basically, even though it's February, from the very beginning, we throw these horses in sets because we want them to feel like a race situation is just what they've been doing forever. They've been doing it for months. So why is it a big deal when they go to races?
Right. So it seems like this style of training, and I feel like you got to throw every kind of situation at them.
Absolutely.
So this type of training is more of a patience training because you're not looking. I'm sure you're not making equipment adjustments after a day like today,
Right.
Because you're not stressing them physically. You're stressing them mentally,
Right.
Because it's sit, wait. Whatever position you're in, you gotta sit there.
Right.
You gotta learn.
Right. You gotta learn patience.
If you're struggling with them, like you said, first over in a 2-hole or second over, that horse is struggling.
That's right.
You're fighting them.
Right.
By the end of the mile, they're done.
That's right. Because like those horses that did that on Wednesday, they'll come back on Saturday and they'll go 2 trips. And the last trip, we're going to move a horse first over with another horse on his back, and that horse is going to say, "Okay, we did this on Wednesday, and I followed this horse until they asked me to go." And then at the head of the lane, the guy second over, he's going to ask that horse to go, and when they do, she's going to know it's time. So we're teaching them every situation, and everything's a building block to when they go into that first baby race or that first qualifier.
So in this first set, is there a specific horse that you kind of I don't want to say had trouble with, or we're 3 months, 4 months out of when they were breaking. So was there one that either hit the track really quickly, learned it, or one was a little bit of trouble?
There was a filly that was sitting. There was a filly that was sitting outside of you. That's a really nice filly. Her name's Key West, and I was cutting the mile with Mollydooker, the homebred filly.
Okay.
And Matt was sitting first over the whole mile with Key West. She's a filly that's extremely talented, but she has to learn to be patient. So this is a perfect exercise for her to sit there first over, be patient, and just wait. And she was very good yesterday with it. There's another filly in this set called Odds on St. Lucie, which is a really nice sweet Lou filly out of a full sister to Captain Treacherous. She also needs to learn to be patient because she's one of those horses that's so easy for her that she sets third over the whole mile and just sits there to be patient. And the trainer on the filly said when we started up out of there, she wanted to be a little grabby, a little aggressive. He said by the quarter pole she'd let me go, and she realized that she just needed to sit there.
Yeah.
You know, and the whole way she was that way. So the next time when he goes to train her and he has to move her, she'll move because he asked her to, not because she feels like she has to go.
Sure.
So you know, it really makes a difference.
Do you grade, like you come back in and you say, okay, all 6 of them A+ for what we wanted to do for that day?
I pretty much do as far as that. I don't give them a grading system. We used to back in the day. We always had an ABC system. But what I do now is, you know, as far as my guys are happy with them and they don't give me any feedback that's, you know, a negative about something we should try or do differently, then, you know, we pretty much know we're okay. And we move on to the next day, which is Saturday, where we give them a little speed work and see how they handle it then. And then if we need to make adjustments, we will as we go.
Okay, so the next set, what was the next set that we had?
The next set was a really nice set of pacing colts. There were one, two,
This
three,
is your bread and butter right
four,
here.
five Captain Treacherous colts, and then there was one ringer I threw in there, which is a Vintage Master colt.
Okay.
I bought for $4,500 at Harrisburg.
You did, or
yes,
so,
I did.
So this is your horse.
Yep, out of the same family as Lost in Time. So he was just one of those horses that I knew he'd been way below value, being a Vintage Master. Had a really strong maternal pedigree, so I bought him for myself for $4,500, and he's training really good.
So that's the one you're spending extra time on.
No,
right?
I never sat behind that one.
You never.
I never sat behind that one.
So
I never sat behind my own. It seems like I always make sure that the rest of them, the $170,000 ones are going good, and the $4,500 ones my mom sits behind.
Do you just send that one out on its own and sit here on the deck
no,
and yell it?
No.
Hey, train
Turn
that horse
left.
better. I can see
Turn
you.
left. So the colt I had in that set was a really nice Captain Treacherous colt out of American Jewel. So he's been good from the get-go, no issues, everything's been really good. You went with a really nice colt I own with Willow Oak Farm from Tennessee. That was a colt named Bronson. He came from the sale. His name was Captain in My Coke. He came from Hickory Ridge from Ohio, sold him, and he's out of a mare called Ideal News. So he's from a Brittany family, and Richard Arnold bought the colt, absolutely loved him, gave $100,000 for him, and he asked me if I wanted to come in and be partners, and I jumped at the chance, and I took 20% of him. So that was the colt you went with. It's a really nice colt.
Okay. So out of that group, okay, nobody's looking, sir. Was Captain a pain in the ass?
No, Captain was as easy a horse to be around as could be.
Okay.
He was really laid back, and that's pretty much how all of his colts have been. They have a really good playful side to him, like he did. Like he loved to play, but he was very laid back. Like he's very respectful, and it's amazing how when a horse is like that, the first thing when he went to Dr. Jablonski at Hanover Shoe Farm, you know, that whole way he acted without telling her anything about that horse's demeanor other than he's a nice horse to be around. He was such a respectful horse to teach how to breed mares because he's just that's his way he is. That's just his demeanor.
Okay.
And he was that way from. So it's amazing that those horses, everything he did as a yearling, 2, 3, 4-year-old carried over into a stud career as well. And his offspring that we have so far, they're the same way. They're very laid back, playful, do whatever you ask them to do, but they're not aggressive horses at all. They're very laid back, very willing. Always go forward when you ask them to, but they're not aggressive horses, which is good. That's how he was.
Has the physical side, like equipment wise, I don't know how many equipment changes you had to make on Captain. Are they all pretty much the same route? Like you look at some people, they all seem to wear tie downs.
Right.
And it's like,
and he wore a tie down. Some beach did.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you look and you're like, huh,
Yeah.
look at that. So was there something specific that because nobody's watching, don't worry.
Right.
That piece of equipment that you had on Captain, like okay, they all run in or something like that, or shoeing.
Right.
Was there something that?
Not so far. Not at this point. We have one out of 18 that wears a tie down.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. And
so Captain sounds boring.
He was very boring. Boring is good sometimes. I mean, he was so easy to get along with. When that year, in February, Myron Bell said to me, he goes, "Who are your three best colts?" I said, "CaptainTreacherous, Wake Up Peter, and Bout." And now he asked me, "Who's your best colt?" And I said, "I really can't tell you because we got so many nice ones."
Sure.
And he says, "Well, you knew the year that you had Captain that those were your three best." I said, "Yeah, because the rest of them were garbage."
Yeah.
I said, "You know, it was easy that year because there was nothing there but
They
those
stuck
couple
out.
colts. They stuck out so much." But right now, you know, these colts haven't separated themselves. I really like the American Jewel colt, U.S. Captain. I really like the colt out of Fresh Ideas, Shipshape. I really like Bronson. I really like Major Deception. There's a lot of nice colts there.
Okay.
You know, and they haven't separated, but I don't expect them to separate in February.
When do you want them to separate?
I normally, the last training or two before they qualify, I give them a chance to separate.
Okay.
When Captain trained down, his last training at the Meadowlands, I went a mile 56 and 3/4 every leg raced him. And down by the wire, I touched him and he hit another gear.
Okay.
And the other colts, they were where they wanted to be. They didn't want no more of what he was going to do. And he was just getting into gear at the wire.
So you're doing all the prep work, and then
Right. They'll separate.
So right now, all those colts
Mhm.
are doing everything that you're supposed. Do you try to rotate where they are in the spots, like depending?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I try to put, you know, because I always cut the miles because I feel comfortable, more comfortable cutting the miles myself because I know where I want to be at all times training. So I
Okay.
always cut the miles. So I rotate horses so the same colt's not on the front all the time. Once we start going 2 trips consistently, we've been 2 trips twice, then I will have the colt that I'm going with. I won't cut the first trip with him,
Okay.
but I'll cut the second trip. So that way I'm not on the front end the whole time with the same colt.
So this group overall did their job, did what they were supposed
Yeah,
to do.
very much so. It was a very nice set. So I think looking back on it, that was a good day. The Major Deception horse got a little lost in the first turn, but that's why we do what we did yesterday because he was sitting there parked first over, and he thought he was done when he went in the first turn. And I said to Matt, our trainer, or to his fans out there, Hollywood. I
Okay.
told Hollywood, I said, that's why we're doing what we do today because I said, had he left out of there in the first turn at the Meadowlands and saw the paddock sitting right there, he would have veered
Made
to
a
the
right-
outside, made a right
Listen,
hand
they
turn.
go a mile.
I said, that's why we do what we do, so
Yeah.
they know to sit there and be patient.
All right. So the third set. What do we have in the third set?
The third set, we had a little bit of a mixed bag, mostly pacing fillies. We had a Captain filly, we had a Captain colt, we had a Roll with Joe filly, we had a Captain filly sister to Me So Fast. We had a Sunshine Beach filly, which is the only one of those we have.
Okay.
And we had another Captain filly. So 2 Captain fillies from White Birch. Kind of a little bit of a mixed bag, but
Did the captain fillies the same, or are they completely different demeanor?
no, they're good. They're good. They're very, very laid back. Same thing, but big go to them. And so far, very nice. There was 3 Captain fillies in that set, and we went a mile 36 with this group yesterday, and all of them were very good. So a nice Roll with Joe filly that I bought from Kentucky, and I only give 18,000 for her.
Okay.
And the Captain Colt in the set was a colt that I bought at Harrisburg on opening day, which is one of them same deals. It was a brother to a horse called Craft Ship that I raced. It was a nice New York Sire Stakes horse. The mare had 4 art majors. She was 4 for 4, 100% producer. They bred her to Captain. He's Pennsylvania and Kentucky eligible. I give $22,000 for him.
There you go.
I mean, and he does everything right.
What do the Kentucky finals go for?
250.
So that's a lot
Yeah,
more than what
yeah.
you could have paid. So that's some
Absolutely.
value, right?
So that's value. So that's why I'm just sitting there on my hands trying not to buy any more. And horses like that came along. I was like, I gotta buy this horse. But he's training very good. So that's a really nice set of fillies in the one colt, and very happy with them so far.
Do you have any new sires? Like this is your other than Captain, is there? Hey, this is the first time we've got a sire with this.
Well, the Sunshine Beach filly in that set that my mom trained is out of the family of He's Watching, and I really like that filly a lot. We bought her up at the London sale in Canada, and she's training really good. And I bought a Roll with Joe filly. I tried to buy colt as well, and I couldn't get one bought because I really think that Roll with Joe is a very underrated sire. You know, I had Racing Hill, was a $22,000 yearling. I had a horse that I thought was meant to be a really good horse named Henry Hill that was a Roll with Joe. So I think that he's a really undervalued stallion and can hit. So I bought this filly for 18,000, and she's training right along with our best sets.
When you get a new sire, do you try to get some pre-information, or you just kind of, okay, we got this one, let's see what the let's see what the colt or the
Mhm.
baby is, or do you try to get some information on what the sire was and what he was like?
Well, whatever I buy, regardless, I'm always starting with the maternal pedigree first.
Okay.
So if it's a maternal pedigree that I don't believe in, it doesn't matter what it's by. I'm not going to look at it anyway.
Okay.
So these all that I bought, like I bought 3 Trixton colts, and the Trixton colts that I bought, are good maternal pedigrees, and I really like them a lot. This is his first crop. I tried to buy a first crop Father Patrick. I couldn't get one bought. I just couldn't find the one that I liked for the money. We were the underbidder on the Father Patrick colt that sold for 330 at Lexington. I was the underbidder on him, but just couldn't get one hammered down. And the reason I bought the Sunshine Beach fillies, because we always have a good Canadian barn, and with her maternal pedigree and the fact that Sunshine Beach was such a nice horse, and we raced against him with Captain. He actually beat Captain in a battle of Brandywine over at Poconos, and I had a lot of respect for the horse, and I love his pedigree. So
Okay.
I wanted to buy one by Sunshine Beach.
Now what was the what are we on the fourth set?
We're on the fourth set.
How do you like? You got all these sets. I'm already
This
lost.
is a piece of cake.
This is. I guess when you do it every day, right?
Yeah, exactly. This set was 1, 2, 3.
See now this one. Are we on Reign of Thrones?
Yes,
See now
yes,
I just was walking through the barn. I said
yes. He's
that's.
a beautiful
I don't
colt.
know who the horse is. I just love the
Yeah,
name.
it's a
That's one of
beautiful
my
colt.
favorite names.
He is an American Ideal colt that we purchased privately from Eric Cherry. He's owned by Jennifer Dalton.
Okay.
And he is an American Ideal colt out of a mare called Love Canal. That was a very good mare in Canada. It's her I believe her first or second foal. And he's a really nice colt, training well. He's big, great gait to him, really light on his feet. That's the colt that I went with the other day, and he's a really nice colt. Then we've got Captain Colt out of Captiva Island,
Another Captain Collins.
and then we've got a Captain Colt out of Authorize, and then we have a Captain Brother to Bedroom Confessions.
Okay.
So a homebred of ours that we took to the sale, and I just thought he sold way below value, like a lot of the captains did. So I bought him back for 45,000. Brought in a couple partners, and he's training very well. And an interesting colt in that set is we bought the Sun Beach Somewhere out of Shell Escape, her first foal.
Okay.
We gave 175,000 for him at Lexington. His name is Escape to the Beach, and we did OCD surgery on him early, but he's training very well. We're very happy with where he's at this stage. So far so good.
Was that the last set, or
We got one more set.
One more set.
One more set.
It was. I'll give props because it was just go 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 go, but everything went pretty smooth, and
Yeah.
I was able to film everything without pretty.
And
much,
I think you were even. This was one of your highlights. This was you and a trotter.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. We went all pacers, and then
Yeah,
this was the
a
last
set.
one.
This was a set of trotting colts.
Set of 4, yeah.
Yeah, set of 4 trotting colts. The other trotting colt that went earlier in the day, the other Trixton colt. This is 2 Muscle Hill colts and 2 Trixton colts.
All right, who's gonna be better, Muscle Hill or Trixton?
Oh, I don't know. Muscle Hill's, he's already got the resume, but Trixton's supposed to be, the next generation.
Who's the better racehorse?
Muscle Hill was.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Muscle Hill was.
Okay.
Trixton was a very good horse. He was very well managed. Muscle Hill just was, he was just a freak.
Yeah.
He did everything that was asked of him and did it with ease, and just a very good horse. And he's proven that in the stallion barn too. He's done okay.
He's done okay. He's done okay.
So we had 2 Muscle Hill colts in the set, and then 2 nice. And the colt that you went with was a Muscle Hill colt out of a mare named Self-Indulgent. And Self-Indulgent was kind of a funny story because this colt sold at the sale, and everybody remembers the mare racing. She was a very good mare, and she had a horse called Dolce Ducci, and then she had maybe one other filly, and then she had a 5-year gap where she had no foals.
Nothing. What happened?
Nothing. So they had problems getting her in full.
Oh, okay.
And then they breed her to Muscle Hill, and boom, she gets in full, and she has this colt. We give 100,000.
Magic of Muscle Hill.
The magic of Muscle Hill.
He gets the job done
wherever he goes. So this is a really nice colt. His name's Pilot Discretion. He's owned by Robert LeBlanc and David Anderson, who is no stranger to good trotters in this business. That's for sure. So
when you have different stakes, different states, different pacers, fillies, trotters, blah blah blah. A is there a general trait you look for, or you say, okay, if I'm going to be on the like New York circuit or Pennsylvania circuit, and we're dealing with colts, is there something specific you look at for? Okay, I need a Pennsylvania colt that looks like this, or does this, or has a pedigree that does this, or is it just a general kind of, hey, I need him to be wide or behind? Because you talk to every trainer, there's always one thing that hey, I want a horse that acts like this when I look at him, or things like that. Is there? Do you can you do that, or you just take it?
I don't think so. I look at, the first thing is I can't tolerate an ugly head on a horse.
Okay.
You'll see when you walk down through my barn.
How's my head?
Just on a horse.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
When you walk through my barn, you'll see very few horses that have a plain head. I like an intelligent looking horse, because I definitely think a good looking head is a sign of intelligence. And I've bought a few that I thought, this is a really nice colt. He's got a great body. He's got a great pedigree. I'm not real crazy about his head, but maybe he'll overcome it. And guess what? They don't. They don't overcome it. If they have a big dumb look to them, they're a big dumb
They're a
horse.
big dumb horse.
It's just the way it is, unfortunately. But it's funny, because I can remember back in the day when I would look at horses and I would find a horse and he'd be a little bit on the small side or medium side. I would write, and he was a New York sired horse. I'd write in my book, New York sire stake type, because you think to yourself, they're going to be racing on a 5/8 and a
Sure.
half. You want a little smaller, a little more compact type of horse. Craft Ship, who is a horse I raced in New York, raced every small bull ring in New York, was 17 hands tall, and he could get around a half-mile track better than any little horse I ever
They
had.
got to be athletic.
They just have to be an athlete, so it really doesn't matter. So I kind of got away from the fact that thinking a medium-sized horse is all you can buy for New York, because he made a real liar out of me as far as that. I mean, he was a monster horse that wore a special bike and could whip around a small track like anything.
Okay.
So but I think a trotter should have a certain gait if you're looking toward a smaller track type of sire stakes program. But I really try to focus on horses that are dual eligible with Kentucky and with wherever state the stallion stands in.
Sure.
So I think that's a great program. They've done a great job getting it off the ground. We had great luck there last year. We jumped right back in. All my mares that I own 12 mares, they all board in Kentucky right off the bat. So it's an advantage to me. But when I'm buying a horse, if that horse is Kentucky eligible as well, it's a huge bonus. And when you go to staking them, it really helps, because if you have a horse that's Pennsylvania sired and Kentucky sired, for $300 for each of them, you've already covered a lot of their summer.
Dude, you're not supposed to give away your secret.
I
Because
know.
now everybody's going
It's
to
an
watch that.
open-
The millions of
open
people that are
book.
going to watch this, they're going to be like, oh, well, that's easy now. And now you're going to ruin your Kentucky thing there.
That's too late. The ship has sailed.
The ship has sailed on
People
that?
have already. We bought last year for Kentucky, which really didn't play a lot into it, because we buy from Hunterton and we buy from Brittany. So those are two farms we do a lot of business with. So theirs are already Kentucky eligible to begin with. So yes, it was an added bonus. No, I didn't go buy horses I normally wouldn't buy just because they were Kentucky. But we win the 2-year-old filly final with Bandstand. We win the 2-year-old colt final with Key Advisor. We were third in the 2-year-old colt trot with Dawson Springs. So those horses having that extra program really made their year. I mean, those are horses that picked up 150, 200, and 200,000 based on them racing in Kentucky.
Do you focus on sires or programs, or certain, like, if CaptainTreacherous went out to Iowa and there was a good Iowa program, would you go out to Iowa, or you try to stay Canada, because you're Canada and Jersey, right?
Right.
Are those
Yep.
the two main operations?
No, I try to. Well, when you're in Jersey, you catch Pennsylvania, you catch New York, you catch all that anyway, because you're central to all those places. But I don't, as we always say, we don't buy horses with sire stakes in mind. To us, the sire stakes is going to be their backup plan.
Okay.
We're buying horses hoping they could be an open type horse. I go back to Racing Hill. Racing Hill was a roll with Joe, New York bred. In 2 years of racing, he never raced in one New York sire stake program. Never one race in New York. Every race he had was against open company.
Okay.
CaptainTreacherous raced in one PA sire stake as a 3-year-old, his first start back. So when we're buying them, we're hoping they're going to be more than that. Does that mean that we're not glad to have a fallback program? Of course. But I don't go and tell myself I got to buy a New York bred colt. I want to buy a good colt that just happens to be New York bred, or I want to go buy a good pacing filly.
Sure.
And if she just so happens to be, I bought a lovely Sweet Lou filly that was out of a sister to Captain, and I'm glad that she's a Sweet Lou because I'm happy to train a first crop Sweet Lou. But if she'd have been by Peppy the pony, I probably would have bought it anyway because it was out of a sister to Captain that I trained that I really liked. So I don't try to go buy a sire or a sire stake program. I try to start with the maternal side, maternal pedigree, and build up from there.
Give me a month of the year that is your funnest.
I would say June.
June,
Yeah,
because everything's racing.
The horses are starting to race. The 3-year-olds have got a start or two in them. We're coming up on North America Cup, Hemp, Meadowlands Pace if we're good enough, and the babies are baby racing. And my favorite time of the year is on a Saturday at the Meadowlands. We baby race 10. We hop on a plane. We fly to Canada. We race in the North America Cup,
okay.
And we fly home that night. And you get home exhausted, but it's a fulfillment of a dream that you've had, is to be able to do that. To rush to the Meadowlands, baby race, rush to Teterboro, get on a plane, fly up there, you land, drive the track, you warm up your North America Cup horse, hopefully you win the North America Cup,
and then hop
you
back.
get on a plane, and you fly home. I mean, that's what we do.
You got a spider. So
Yeah.
All right, last two things before I let you go. There's 12 divisions essentially, right? Breeders' Crown. We have all the 2-year-olds, pacing colts, blah blah blah, 3-year-olds, and then age. I'm only letting you have one division for the rest of your training. What are you taking? You're only allowed to train that division.
I'm only allowed to train that division.
Yeah, for the rest of time. And my question is not only necessarily what do you like training, but which division is the easiest to make money in?
Well, I think that the division we've been the most successful in has been pacing colts.
Which one?
Albeit 2 or 3, because
I
would say I would say 2 to start, because then hopefully they become 3. But
you can't race 3-year-old colts.
That's all right. I'll just take it at 2.
So just 2-year-old.
I'll just take it at 2.
Okay.
Because a great 2-year-old will
you can sell them.
You can stand on. You can syndicate a great 2-year-old and don't have to worry about it. Ultimately, of course, I want a great 3-year-old because that horse is already going. He has the potential to go to stud.
Sure.
But to develop a horse and become a great 2-year-old, is what we try to do. We've been blessed. We've had Art Speak. We've had Racing Hill. We've had Captain-Treacherous. We've had horses that have fulfilled what we needed them to do, went on to become stallions. So that's what we're looking to do.
All right, 2 more questions. I know I said that before. I forgot one other question. Let's talk about. Oh, hold on. Before we talk about that one, give me one race you're going to win this year.
Give me one race I'm going to win this year.
Like big
non-winners of 2 at the Meadowlands.
No. Oh. You know what I mean. Like big. Give me a $250,000 race or better you're going to win this year. Because that I'm going to transition.
Okay.
Just go ahead. Tell me a
$250,000 plus race I'm going to win. I'm going to win a Kentucky Sire Stake final.
Okay. With who? Or
you didn't ask that.
Okay, fair enough. See, now I thought what you were going to say was I'm going to win the Breeders' Crown back to back with Stay Hungry.
Well, I don't. People that know me, they know that I'm not superstitious, but I'm not a person that goes out and talks about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
I'll do that.
Exactly. I'm not that person. When CaptainTreacherous was racing, and when CaptainTreacherous would win by a nose, people would say, "Oh, I don't know. Looked like they're getting closer to him."
Yeah.
And then
you only got to win by that much.
Yeah, the next week he'd win by a neck, and they'd say, "Oh, I don't know. That other horse, he was coming on the outside," and I would never say a word. I just let my horse speak for himself. And I mean, I'm the same way with mine. Whatever they accomplish, it's going to accomplish on the track. I don't have to post a picture on Facebook every time my horse wins a race or whatever. I let my horses speak for themselves and do what I need to do and take care of business, and everything will turn out.
Stay Hungry. What's is he going to when's he going to qualify? What's the schedule? I mean, we already know the schedule because go back and watch Captain and Racing Hill. We already know what he's going to do. He's going to hit all the major stakes. Yeah. But my question is, we got that 10-week period in June, July, August where you got what is it? The Hempt and the North American Cup and the Meadowlands Pace and the Adios and the U.S. Pacing Championship. Are you gonna try to hit all 5 of those races? Is there one you're gonna point
Well,
away from?
it really depends on, of course, the horse first, because the fact that when you start out the series, you have a plan in mind, but everything changes a start at a time. If you go in and say like we, it's funny to say because when things work out, everybody looks like a hero. But when we started out with Captain Treacherous as a 3-year-old, we mapped out the fact that we didn't think there'd be eliminations for the Meadowlands Pace because we were counting up the number of colts, and we thought, if anything, if they're over 10, we're going to get a bye, and we're not going to have to race anyway.
Okay.
So instead of him having to go 6 weeks in a row, he got the luxury of having that week off before the Meadowlands Pace. So a lot
That's
of
a little
times,
strategy. You don't hear that too often.
yeah, and I mean that's what you have to think about going into it. Like we know that you're going to have to go North America Cup elimination. Okay, so when we go North America Cup elimination, we're not planning on racing in the Sun Beach somewhere.
Right.
Because if we're racing in the Sun Beach somewhere,
Which is
now
the
we've
week
went,
before?
yeah, now
Okay.
we've went 7 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you're not going to go in that race. Now maybe your horse needs that race.
Okay.
So we go into Sun Beach somewhere, but we have to hope that we are able to get a bye or we have to miss somewhere along the way. If not, you hope that you're strong enough to make it all the way through. So every start kind of dictates what your next move is. It's very much like playing chess pieces. But you hope along the way that break gets to you so things go your way. Not necessarily always does, but you hope that it does. And a lot of times things happen, like I say, a start at a time. I had no intention of taking Stay Hungry to Indiana to race him in the Monument Circle or whatever the 2-year-old colt pace is over there. But he tied up in the Metro final. And then when he come down and Doug came down and drove him the first week or the second week of Lexington, when he drove him, he run up on the horse's back in front of him. The colt took off. He was ready to go. And he made a break.
Right.
So they charred him a break. It's not an impeded break because the horse run up on the horse in front of him. So now I call up Brad Grant, who's the owner of the horse, along with Herb Samuelman. And I said to Brad, we talk. I mean, Brad's a great guy. He goes along with whatever he feels like we need to do. And I called Brad and I said, I really think we're going to have to race this horse. He needs a race now. I said he went a week with no racing. Then he doesn't get to race because he makes a break. And then I said, now we were going to be 3 weeks where we haven't actually had any fast work.
Right.
So we take him over, race him into Monument Circle. Trace Teacher drives him. He wins with him. But down by the wire, he was short. He showed he needed the race.
Right.
And he come back to the Breeders' Crown elimination and Breeders' Crown final, and he was dazzling. He was where he needed to be. But every race dictated what our next step was.
Okay.
So, you can map out all you want, but then you just throw it in the air and hope for the best because it really changes.
Is it that's a hell of a stretch, like you're saying. There's 12 weeks in there.
And the thing about it is, when I had Captain Treacherous, I wasn't worried about Captain one bit because he was a big, strong horse and he was easy on himself. And you can even see as you look at his pictures, and he was a great shipper, he was a great eater, he was a great. But as you look at his pictures, the final of the North America Cup, you can see that he'd lost weight even in his picture.
Okay.
So when we started that series with Art Speak, and Art Speak was much, much more like a thoroughbred. He was a very fast, very racy horse. And I said, this 6 weeks is going to be very hard on this horse because his recovery was not like Captain's. We have a scale at our barn in New Jersey, and we would weigh that horse before he went to race and when he came home, and he would lose 95 pounds to 100 pounds
Just
in
of sweat and,
one race.
and everything.
So he would sweat out 100 pounds in one race. So I thought, man, say we're going 6 weeks in a row with this horse, how am I going to do it? And it caught up with him. Like in the Meadowlands Pace, he was just dull.
Imagine if he didn't have to go up against that. What's that horse?
Yeah, Wiggle It something.
Wiggle It something. Yeah. Imagine if he didn't have to go up against that terror.
Exactly.
So overall, I mean, it seems like I think we learned a little bit of insight. You didn't give away too many of your secrets.
No, not too many.
Not too many of your secrets. You want to give away one?
No.
No, Mark. So
it's pretty. I always say like it's one of the things where the blueprint's there. It's like when you buy yearlings, you look and see who was successful, what did they buy. And I mean, as they say, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. You sit back, you watch the people who are successful. There's a blueprint there. It's just a matter is if your ego will allow you to accept the fact that you're following other people that were successful's lead.
Sure.
I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I know what people do to be successful. So you have to do that. You have to add to it what you think you can do differently, not better, but differently, and then you come up with your own system, and that's what I'm trying to do.
All right, so we'll be looking forward to once June hits. He may have a smile on the outside, but we know you'll be. He's thinking all the time, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And
Myron Bell says it best though. One of his favorite lines he says is, "This is good pressure."
it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, this is good pressure. Pressure is being homeless.
When do you?
This isn't pressure.
When do you leave Florida?
Probably around the 1st of April with the 3-year-olds. Then right around 1st of May, everything will be home by the 1st
Okay,
of May.
so you gotta come by. You got another 5 weeks.
Oh yeah.
To get here, if you're anywhere near South Florida, or take a trip. Do you want to give your cell phone out on
Barn 12? Yeah, Barn 12, 815.
Oh no, you're right. I don't care. Everybody
Just
down
visit
here.
our website, AlagnaRacing.com. All the information's there. You can email whatever you want to do right there through AlagnaRacing.com.
Everybody's well accommodating for everything. So if you're down in Florida, you gotta. It doesn't have to be Saturday either.
Yeah, it could be any day.
Could be any day.
Could be any day.
They got the 2-seater jog cart, so they could steal from Lindy Farms.
That's right.
Take it for a ride or whatever it is. So
if you want to be lied to by a bunch of old men on a deck, come out on Saturdays. If you don't want that, then come out any other day of the week.
Well, there you go. So Tony Alagna, you're the man.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it.